When we get to page 306, we see several examples of participants in research experiments making predictions about what the sentence is going to be saying. The first example is shown on page 307. It's figure 8.5. You can see here that when participants were told the man will ride the, before the researchers even said the word motorbike, the man will ride the motorbike. Before the word motorbike was said, participants' gaze went to the motorbike, suggesting that they had already inferred information about the man, about the context, and they had made a prediction about what word the researcher was going to say. Now, the researcher could have said, the man will ride the carousel, but that wouldn't have been consistent with the contextual cues given. So participants were very likely to look at the motorcycle when read that sentence, but they were not likely to look at, for instance, the beer. If the researcher was to say, the man will ride the beer, no, that's unlikely to be the end of the sentence, so participants didn't end up looking at the beer at that point. As we I guess as we look across these examples, we can see that that participants are making predictions about how the sentence is probably going to end up. There's an example here on the next page, on page 308, of some Japanese participants who were listening to sentences about a waitress and what the waitress might be doing. Of course, the cues here were different than, they were not contextual cues here. These were verb cues. But as we read in the section on verb cues earlier, we know that the kinds of grammar markers that are inherent in a sentence can cue us to how that sentence should be processed. In this study, we see that given the tags on the end of certain words, that Japanese speakers were able to predict what the waitress was going to do based on what kind of tag was given to the word customer, whether the tag meant that the customer was a direct object or an indirect object. So this is suggesting that we can use grammatical cues from sentences also to make predictions. And finally, we see on page 309 that brainwaves also reveal predictions. The interesting thing that we see, let's turn the page to 310, we see here that when given two sentences, one of which was, the day was breezy, so the boy went outside to fly an airplane, versus the day was breezy, so the boy went outside to fly a kite. We see that the way that the brain processes these sentences is different. At the word airplane or kite, we would expect, of course, to find some difference, because we would expect that by that point, probably the individuals hearing the sentence have developed some kind of prediction, some kind of conclusion about what this sentence is going to be. You would expect to hear the word kite at the end of this sentence and not the word airplane. But interestingly, we're so proactive about our predictions that even by the word a versus an, we see a difference in the processing, suggesting that even before the last word, even before the word a or an, even before that point in the sentence, participants have already developed some kind of prediction about where the sentence is going, and they expect for the sentence to end with a kite, not an anything. Participants do not think that there should be an at the end of that sentence. So, let's see. Yeah, so I guess the other fascinating example is that this EEG research isn't suggesting that participants are just expecting certain kinds of grammatical cues, or even some kind of cue that's consistent with an object itself, because when they are told a story about an amorous peanut, some animate peanut that's feeling in love, then they were told either the sentence, the peanut was in love, or the peanut was salted. And they found the reversed effects in that situation that they found for the boy went outside to fly a kite. When they were told the peanut was in love, that was what the participants were expecting to hear. If they were told the peanut was salted, that's what you would normally expect to hear about a peanut, but not after hearing the context of an animate peanut in love. So this suggests that these are expectation effects for what a participant is anticipating for the direction of the story. And that's the final cue that we're going to talk about in the chapter.